men's room. Today we're going to be talking about developing healthy relationships. I'm happy to have with us today a professor, a teacher, an educator, and a writer, Michael Kaufman. Michael?
Great to be here.
Pleasure to have you. Tell me a little bit about yourself, kind of what you do.
Well, these days I travel around to university and college campuses. I talk to students, talk to teachers and faculty. I talk about gender issues. I talk about relationships between women and men. I talk a lot about issues around violence against women. What my focus is, whether it's on campus or in a workplace or working with international organizations, it's about improving the lives of not only women but of men.
Right.
And it's interesting because as soon as I say to someone, oh yeah, I work on gender issues, they just assume, oh yeah, women. But it's pretty bizarre when you think about it, because that somehow leaves off half of the human equation.
Right.
Because my focus is on guys and ultimately improving our lives as well.
How do you bring that to men in a way that's us?
Because I'm a guy. So I'm a guy talking to other guys.
Right.
I talk about men, I talk about our lives, I talk about the crap that we pretend in front of each other.
Yeah.
Because we are so good at putting on a show. By the time that we are 12, 13, we have all the moves. We practice them. That's what we were playing with all those years before then. So we have the moves, we know how to stand, we know how to smoke a cigarette just the right way. We've got it all down. So we become really good at appearing to each other like real men. Gender, our ideas of manhood, what I keep saying, what a real man is, that keeps changing. It's ephemeral. It's like everyone in the society has taken the same drug and is hallucinating the same thing. Oh yeah, I know what a real man is. I know what masculinity is. Those things don't really exist. We're just like sharing this hallucination.
There's no baseline. It's not real.
It's not real.
Huh.
Whatever it is, it becomes a bit of a game. And you have to think, okay, why are guys busy playing a game? Like, why do we need to prove to other guys that we're a real man? And that's pretty bizarre. But you think about it in a school, for example, high school.
Right.
And you think, it takes 10 seconds to start a fight. You don't show a guy respect and that's it. Well, why is that it? Well, because, let's face it, deep down, all of us are pretty damn insecure about living up to the expectations of manhood. Now, this is bizarre. When you think about it, because guys, if you look around the world, we've got more power than women still, in spite of years of feminism and all that.
Absolutely.
Men still make more money, we still control corporations, we still get more attention in the media, we still control politics, religion, on and on. And yet, guys still feel like we'll never live up to the expectations of manhood. And I think the reason why is that from birth, we are taught that to be a man is to be all-powerful, is to show no weaknesses, show no fear, show no pain. We've been taught not to feel what other people are feeling. Not to feel. This is strange. Well, when you tell a little boy who's crying because he's hurt, big boys don't cry, or you're not, stop crying, you're okay, or don't act like a baby, or don't act like a girl. We're teaching him that feelings are not okay. Shut down those feelings. Shut down what you're feeling. Don't be aware. If we tell, when the coach tells a player, play through pain, don't be a sissy, don't be a this or that. We're telling boys to deny what they're feeling. And as soon as you deny what you're feeling, you're also cutting yourselves off from what others are feeling. If you spent your life learning to put on a suit of armor, that's what it's like to be a guy.
Absolutely, you have our shield.
You put on the shield. How close can you get to someone if it's a shield butting into someone else? There's a barrier between you.
Yeah.
So what I do when I speak to guys is I talk about those invisible barriers that get in our way. Ultimately, you cut under all that, and we want to be loved. We want to have connections with other people around us.
Right.
And it constantly amazes me. Recently, I was at a school doing a workshop with football players, and these were big. They were big guys. They were tough guys. But as soon as we actually had a real discussion, not the fake discussions we're used to having among guys, but a real discussion. It's just same as any other guy. Deep down, you want to connect up with other people.
Really?
Yeah.
And you found it with a team of dudes.
Oh, totally. It was amazing. Because even I do this a lot. I walked in, I thought, oh wow, they're filling doorways.
Absolutely, yeah.
These are huge, tough-looking, tough-acting guys. But as soon as I said, okay, listen, we can leave all the crap outside. We can just talk man to man. We don't have to impress anyone here. And as soon as we do that, as soon as we say, you don't have to pretend, you don't have to act here, then what happens is guys start having a conversation they've been waiting to have for years, which is how can we be happier? How can we have good relationships? As soon as we provide a chance for guys to have an honest discussion with each other, like we're doing here,
right,
then we can be human again.
I can't even imagine how you get a room of dudes to drop the doo-doo and like drop the shit. Let's go. Let's talk for real. So how do you go about doing that?
One of the things I always do, sometimes when I'm invited, speak on a campus, and not necessarily that small little thing, but like a big room, and you can all see the guys have been dragged there by their girlfriend, or been dragged there because their professor said, oh, you've got to come and hear this talk, or whatever. And they're all sitting there, they're sitting there leaning back, trying to, get away from me as far as they can. And, scowling, because they just sort of think, I'm going to be crapped on for the next hour. I don't want to be here.
Right, he's going to yell at me.
I watch those guys, because they're my barometer. And I start telling stories. I tell stories about myself, growing up as a man. I tell stories about the guys I meet all the time. And it becomes clear I'm not there to dump on anyone. I don't believe in collective blame. I don't believe that men are bad. I believe there's some things that some men do that's bad, so let's face up to that as men. I believe that women have been discriminated against. Well, let's face up to that as men. I believe that some men have been discriminated against. Well, let's face up to that as men. So you just talk about that stuff honestly. I just watch those guys, the ones that have been leaning back, and I watch as they drop their arms, and then they start leaning forward a bit, and then real carefully, so their buddy next to them doesn't see them, they start nodding. Because it's the first time they've ever heard in their whole life another man say, you can never live up to the demands and expectations of manhood. You'll never succeed. And he thought, inside, he was the only guy who felt that. He was the only guy who thought, oh man, I've got to always perform. I've always got to be on top. I've got to get respect. He thought he was the only guy who worried about it that way. And as soon as he hears from another guy, all of us worry about that. None of us are ever going to live up to that. So just let go of it. Man, it's just like, that's what it is.
Yeah, heck yeah.
It's like, you don't have to keep performing. You don't have to keep trying. If you want, if you're ever worried about your manhood, it's real easy. You don't have to go beat up someone. You don't have to put someone down. You don't have to prove anything. Just, go in the bathroom, stand in front of the mirror, pull down your pants. You got a penis, you're a man. Easy.
And that's it.
That's it.
I'm going to take a break while I go check. No.
Yeah.
So then where does it come from? Why do we have to play this game then? Where do we learn it? Where does it come from? Why?
That is a great question. I think it comes because for probably about 8,000 years, we have lived in male-dominated societies.
Right.
Societies where men have had power.
Mm-hmm.
And we and our ancestors grew up within that. And within that, you develop certain cultures where people have assumptions about what it means to be a man or what it means to be a woman. Now, women have been rebelling against that. Women, for the last 20, 30 years, have said, enough of that, we're not going to go along with that crap.
Right.
They've set out to do it differently. They said we don't just have to be passive and weak and, little playthings. We can be weak sometimes and strong other times. We can do whatever guys do.
The role of women has changed. Yeah. Women have been rebelling against this. Why haven't men changed? I don't have to beat my chest. I don't have to kill an elephant anymore or whatever it is and take care of my family that way anymore. So what's kind of happening with our development, if you will?
It's a great question. I think there's a couple of things. One is that I think guys are changing. One of the big things is when you talk to young fathers or men who are going to be fathers, they're really clear that they want to do it differently than their father or certainly their grandfather did it. Mm-hmm. They are much more committed to being a father as a priority in their life. Mm-hmm. Not just spending quality time with their kids, but quantity time.
Right.
Doing their half of the jobs.
Right.
That's one huge change.
Very true.
Guys, more and more guys in North American culture are learning to be affectionate with each other. People, there's still discomfort, but you see more guys hugging each other.
We got the half hug down.
You got the half hug down. Well, that's halfway there.
Yeah, we're halfway there.
Just being relaxed, the way women can be relaxed with each other.
Yeah.
I hear stories all the time about guys who just refuse to go along with some of the crap. I heard a great story just yesterday about some 5-year-old boy whose favorite color is pink, who got this huge lecture from his grandmother about how he shouldn't like pink, it's not a boy's color, on and on and on. And at the end of this lecture, he crossed his little arms and said, I still like pink. And so I think, good for you. You don't have to.
Little guy.
Yeah, exactly. So I think one thing is guys do resist some of those messages. But it's still hard. Mm-hmm. And it's hard because, first of all, in some cultures, guys still get benefits for being men. If you're a man, particularly a white man, you've had access to the best jobs, you've had access to more money, on and on. Well, it's natural that we're not going to want to let that go.
Right.
Now, I think there's reasons why we should let it go. It's going to be better for our families, better for our daughters if we have daughters.
Absolutely.
Sisters. So there's fear of losing out. There's fear that if women gain in status or power, men are going to lose out. You've got to suddenly compete with the other half of humanity.
Right, as opposed to just sharing.
That's right. But there's also fear. There's just plain fear. Remember when I was saying that guys fear, secretly fear. It's hidden, but we fear about that we're not real men, that we're not going to live up to the expectations. Well, women can do basically anything we can do. If they're as smart as us, if they're as capable as us. And you look at sport Olympic records, the gap between women and men is narrowing.
Isn't it? Yes.
All the elite females are way stronger and faster than I am. So this is a change. So guys who are already insecure about being real men, if women can do basically whatever we can do, then you're thinking, well, boy, what makes me a man? I must not be a man. And then you've got to try even harder. It doesn't work.
I feel that you shouldn't get involved in an intimate relationship until you are emotionally mature enough to handle it, totally able to cope with your feelings and your sexuality without guilt, inhibition, or phoniness, but with love, tenderness, and honesty.
We've gotten into the relationship now. How do we keep it healthy? Because I mean, getting there, everyone's like, "Ooh, I've gotten here," and it's like, wait a minute, this is the work now. So where do you go from there?
You used a great word. It's miserable on one level, but it's the word, and it's work. There's some work involved. We've got these images from sappy movies and TV shows that it's just, you just do it.
Well, you get the girl and it's over.
Well, either it's over, it's
happy
over.
ever after.
That's right. A lot of slow motion running and stuff like that. And it's not like that. There's work involved. And we all say work, work. Well, what does that mean?
Right.
Well, I think we always talk about good communications. The number of times I heard someone say, you just have to have good communications.
Well, yeah.
I was like, okay, so what does that mean? And I think there's several things. One is good relationships require honesty. Now, there's an interesting thing though, because in any relationship, at the beginning is when you set certain patterns for that relationship. Right?
Okay, yeah.
It's hard, you get to know each other, you set a pattern of how you interact, what you do, how you do it. But of course, at the beginning of a relationship is also when you're most vulnerable. You're feeling you've got to be most careful, you can't take too big risks, you're scared.
Right.
Real men,
Sorry,
never scared.
Other people are scared.
Other people are scared.
We're cautious.
We're cautious. So you're scared, but this is actually when it's, in a way, most important to be honest. Being honest about feelings, about what we like, what we don't like, what we're feeling, what we're thinking. The more we can do it, I'm not saying you can be totally honest, and I'm not saying that people should sit down when they first meet and start telling their deepest, darkest secrets. I'm not talking about being stupid, but I'm saying part of a good relationship means taking some risks, being honest. You've got to protect yourself and guard yourself and be aware of dynamics, but it's also taking some chances. Part of it, the work, is around good listening. We all say good communication, and as guys we think, I'm a good talker. No. Yeah, you gotta be a good talker, but it's also about good listening. As guys, part of our training is to be good talkers, to be in charge, to be in control, to give advice, but we're missing a lot. And what we're often missing is where she's coming from, what she's feeling, what she's thinking. And so that's where the listening comes in. To ask questions. I mean, I can't tell you the number of times I've sat in a restaurant or movie theater and you could tell someone's on a first date. The girl will maybe once in a while, say something. It's usually asking him a question about himself, but he's just performing,
Right.
Just keep thinking. If she's asked me this about myself, I'm going to ask that about herself. If you're interested enough to be with her, find out about her. Here's the hard part. The hard part's not only shutting up for a minute. The hard part is listening to what she's not saying. Because if someone is a bit nervous, if someone is anxious about something, that may come out not in what she says, but what she doesn't say.
Right.
So, for example, we know from studies that a horrific 20% of women in North America have been sexually assaulted. And that sexual assault covers a range of actions, not just rape, but sexual assault. 20%. So that means there's a pretty good chance that someone you're dating may have experienced some form of sexual assault. Now, you don't go out and say, "Oh, want to get to know you? Tell me, have you, like an interview, have you ever been assaulted?" Obviously not.
Right, because that's going to put anybody on their guard.
Absolutely, and be disrespectful and putting her in a place that she shouldn't be. But you got to know that perhaps her hesitation around, let's say, in a sexual moment, there might be some history there. There might be religious beliefs that she hasn't felt were cool to express that make her feel or do something or not do something. So you've got to pick up on those moments of hesitation. When I say listen to what she's not saying, you've got to read body language. Is something making her uncomfortable? Is suddenly she's a bit stiffer? Is suddenly she's a bit different? Suddenly is she avoiding me? I'm calling her and she's not calling back. I've got to listen to what's not being said. So good communication is not just about being honest and saying, being brilliant with our lips, but being brilliant with our ears and our intuition.
And that's against our whole that's against our whole manhood thing.
You're right.
And it's such a hard thing to deprogram.
Yeah.
When I speak and I'm trying to talk to somebody and I don't want to say something because it's embarrassing or whatever the case, but I'm thinking it, how do I speak, and kind of using that on the flip side and going, okay, well, you're saying this, but you're thinking because you seem like this. And I think that's work in and of itself.
Yeah, that's right. It is work.
You know what I mean?
And I like the way you said that. If we're thinking about what we're saying, we're trying to communicate different messages. So, man, you look so hot tonight. That might be communicating, I want to be with you, I want to see more of you, tonight, I want to spend the night with you.
Right, but it's hard to say that.
That's right. So there's messages we all communicate. You can't say it all at once. And if she says, "Man, I've been so tired this week," she might also be saying, I might be having a great time, but I'm going to be heading home to bed, my own bed tonight. So you got to just learn to sort of hear what someone is saying, and that's true too, even if you've been together for a year, for years. It's that continuing to listen with respect. Part of being a partner is that you're creating equal space for the two people. You're not always in control. That means sharing decision making. That means not dishing out advice to her all the time. Those are all some of the keys. And to get help, you got to take a chance. You got to be strong, because guys are worried then. But if we're strong, we can ask for help.
Strength in a different way, and this is one of the things we sometimes miss. But that's such a great point to hit on. Is there anything you'd like to maybe share as a closing thought as we exit the men's room today?
I think what you just said about redefining our strength. We as men can redefine our strength, and the strength is not only all the traditional ways. And I can be strong, absolutely. Strong physically, strong emotionally, strong as a leader. Those are good things. But I can also be strong through respect. I can also be strong by sharing. I can be strong by getting the backup that I need, because we all need some backup. And learn to let go of this pressure to always be on top, always succeed, to be the man doesn't work. And just to be the human being is going to lead us to be both stronger and a lot happier.